Welcome to lesson 2.1. Today we're going to talk about multiplying integers, and our objective is I can multiply integers. The rules for multiplying are super easy to remember and way less complicated than addition or subtraction rules. You're going to want your multiplication chart today, if you have one. There is a copy of one on the pre-module review for Module 2. And then we also have some color-coded ones that go all the way up to 15. This is mine. This is the one I'm going to be using. All right, when we are multiplying integers, if we have the same sign, as in both numbers are positive or both numbers are negative, we're going to have a positive answer. So for example, if we have 12 times 2, and I'm not going to pull my multiplication chart every time, but here is 12, 1, 2, we have 24. And it's going to be positive because we have the same sign, positive, positive. If we have two negatives, such as negative 15 times negative 4, 15 times 1, 2, 3, 4 is 60. And because they're the same sign, I know my answer is positive 60. So same sign, positive or negative, positive answer. Now if you have different signs, one negative and one positive, you are going to have a negative answer. So for example, if I have negative 14 times positive 5, I'm going to get a negative 70 as my answer. And I'm using my multiplication chart for that because I don't know my 14s off the top of my head. If we have a positive number, positive 18 times a negative, negative 8. This one I don't know off the top of my head, so let's set it up. We know we're going to have a negative answer because we have different signs. So 18 times 8. I know 8 times 8 is 64. Carry my 6. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 6 gives us 14. We end up with 144. So our answer is negative 144. Quick reminder, multiplication shows up in a bunch of different ways. We might see it with the multiplication symbol, although you're going to see this less and less this year. You're mostly going to see things like this. This is 2 times 2. There's no multiplication symbol, but if you have a number next to parentheses with no sign, it is going to be multiplication. And lastly, you might see the dot 2 times 2 to represent multiplication so we don't get confused with our X symbol and variables, which we'll start working more with this year. All right. Now, why does that work? Down here it's a little bit messy. So let me make a quick edit to our sheet. Yours will hopefully be edited before you have to do this. I'm going to go ahead and put a 2 right here. Cool. So we have 2 times negative 3. That means all I'm really doing is negative 3 2 times. So on a number line, I would say, well, I'm going to negative 3. 1, 2, 3. There's 1. And I'm going to negative 3 again. 1, 2, 3. There's 2. And we end up here at negative 6. But now, how does that work if they're both negative numbers? So let's look at negative 2 times negative 3. Now I have negative 3, negative 2 times. Normally, negative 3 would go this way, but because this negative tells us to turn around, think about it, double negatives cancel each other out. This negative cancels out this one. So we end up going negative 3, 1, 2, 3, the other direction, 1, 2, 3, and we end up at positive 6. So one negative stays in play, two negatives cancel each other out and make our answer positive. With counters, this looks a little bit different. And we're going to do the same problem. So we're going to do 2 times negative 3, and we're going to do negative 2 times negative 3. So we can see both sides. Okay. So if I have negative 3, that means I have 1, 2, 3 reds, right? And I have that twice. 1, 2, 3. So altogether I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're red, so these are negative 6. If we were to draw these, I would do 1, 2, 3, negative, 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 1, 2, 3, negative, negative, negative. We have negative 6 altogether. All right, now if we have, I'm going to start with the second number usually, so I've got negative 3 here. It doesn't matter which one you start with. We could do negative 2, so actually let's start with negative 2. So I have negative 2. I am going to ignore the negative right now because I have 3 of those. So here's one set of negative 2s, 2 sets, and then lastly our third set of negative 2. Because this has a negative sign, that tells us to go ahead and flip them all over and reverse the sign. And now we end up with 2, 4, 6, and they're yellow, so they're positive. And here's how I would diagram that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're starting out with negatives, so this is negative 2 times 3, but we have a negative 3, which means we have to turn our counters over to make them positive. So this negative sign tells us to flip our counters over. Now, when we get into counters and multiplication, this part, this number line and counters, can feel pretty messy. You're not really going to use a number line to show multiplication very often. My recommendation is that you focus on this. If you can memorize these rules, same signs positive, different signs negative, you'll do just fine.